I can't hear you. All right. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ann Pasternak, your director of the Brooklyn Museum, and I am joined, or I will be joined on stage by American Sign Language interpreters Gloria Vargas and Jess Ames. Gloria and Jess, where are you? Oh, Gloria, I didn't even see you next to me. And I guess that's Jess right down there. Hi, Jess. Welcome. And as we begin our program, let's take a collective moment to reflect on the fact that we are on the land that is part of the unceded ancestral homeland of the Lenape Delaware people. As a sign of respect, we recognize and honor the Lenape Delaware nations, their elders past and present, and we remain committed to addressing exclusions and erasures of Indigenous peoples. Thank you. Now, it is my joy to welcome you tonight to our latest Brooklyn Talk. For the first time in 24 years, Utagawa Hiroshige's 100 Famous Views of Edo, one of the Brooklyn Museum's greatest treasures, returns for public viewing. Did you know the museum has one of the rare, complete sets of Hiroshige's prints? Yeah? Some of you knew? And is also one of the highest quality ever printed, perhaps the highest quality. And because it was bound in a book and left on a shelf for decades, the colors and condition are unparalleled. How many of you have seen the show so far? A few of you. So you know you've never seen color like this on a Hiroshige print, right? It is no exaggeration to say that this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to delight in their vibrant pigments, the trailblazing compositions, and the wit of one of the world's greatest artists. And speaking of great artists, tonight we have the distinct privilege of welcoming back to the Brooklyn Museum the beloved artist, Takashi Murakami, in conversation with Brooklyn's very own curator of Asian art, Joan Cummins. Now let me tell you, when Takashi Murakami decides to do something, he goes all in. Did you know he completed a doctoral program in fine arts at Tokyo University in 1993 and obtained the first PhD to be conferred in the Nihongo department? Since then, his art career has been explosive, with major museums and galleries showing his work around the globe. His celebrated paintings and sculptures embrace the concept of superflat, a theory of contemporary visual culture that connects traditional Japanese art and post-war realities with the flatness of anime and manga. His first retrospective, starting in 2007, toured 4 cities in North America and Europe, including right here at the Brooklyn Museum. Were any of you born then? Did any of you see that show? Okay, a few of you, all right. Some of you were quite young. Then, just in February, his first museum solo exhibition in Japan in 8 years opened at the Kyoto City Kyocera Museum of Art, where about 170 new works are currently on view until September. And despite working really hard on his Kyoto exhibition, Takashi Murakami made time for us. We called him up, and I don't know how he did it at his miraculous studio, but we called him up last fall, and we said, we know that Hiroshige's work was very influential to you, and we hope you will be interested in maybe making a painting or a video for our exhibition. Never did we imagine that he would make more than one painting. In fact, he made 121 paintings, each in homage to the mastery of Hiroshige, and made anew, with my favorite verb, he Murakamiized them. We thank Takashi Murakami and his hardworking studio, many of whom are here in New York to celebrate their jaw-dropping achievements. So please join me in giving a big Brooklyn welcome to artist Takashi Murakami and our curator of Asian art, Joan Cummins.
Good evening, everybody. I am, actually, can I have the clicker? We are so thrilled to welcome Takashi Murakami to the museum this evening. My name is Joan Cummins, and I'm not the reason you're here, so I'm going to try to make it brief, but I am going to set up a little of the background story for how this project happened and how we happened to work with Takashi on this exciting exhibition. So I'm just going to dive right in. Yep. Okay, so it all started in 1856, but don't worry, it's not that long a story. In 1856, a very successful print designer named Utagawa Hiroshige got together with his publisher, and they decided to embark on the most ambitious color print project series created to that point in Japan. The series they created was called 100 Famous Views of Edo, and this idea of the famous view was a very popular area for in the Japanese print market. Before this, there had been two really popular series, the Hokusai's 36 Views of Fuji, which many of you will know from the Great Wave. And then Hiroshige had a huge success with an earlier series called 53 Stations of the Tokaido. But there had never been a print series with 100. They released the prints in small batches over the next 3 to 4 years, and the series was so popular that they actually kept releasing them after passing the 100 mark for a final total of 118. These are what we call color woodblock prints. The process for printing these is additive. Each color gets printed separately on top of the others using a block that's been carved just for that color. The series was ambitious not only in scale, but in the quality of the printing. There was a nice wide range of colors of ink that were only recently available in Japan, and they kind of decided to just use all of them. There were, more colors per print, which means more work to create every one of those prints. And the designs also had a lot of extras, these sort of fancy printing techniques. The main one that's noticeable is shading, gradations of color that they create by wiping the ink either onto or off of the woodblock. And you can see that here, I think, on the edges of the tree branches and in that little wisp of black going across the moon. Both of those were created using these sort of extra print techniques. Hiroshige was also out to wow his audience with cool atmospheric effects. One of my particular favorites are the moon shadows that you see in this night print here. So even though the prints were really labor intensive to create, they were still relatively cheap. An ordinary woodblock print cost about the same as a bowl of noodles in 1850s Japan. The low price was possible because these were multiples. And the number of prints, then they were running off at least, a couple hundred of each of these prints, probably more like almost 1,000. That was possible because they were made by a team of artists rather than by Hiroshige alone. The publisher hired Hiroshige to make the design, and then that design was passed on to the block carvers, who were professional block carvers, and then passed along to the professional printmakers. Because of this, prints became the first art form in Japan that allowed regular people to own great works by leading artists. So, if you know anything about Takashi Murakami, then you're starting to see connections here on purpose between his practice and philosophy and some of the points I'm making about Hiroshige. And if you don't know about his practice, you're in for a treat as you hear about this, and you will start to see some of these connections. So, long story long, the Brooklyn Museum had this incredible set of 100 famous views of Edo in incredibly good condition, and we don't show them very often because we're trying to keep those colors vivid. So, as Anne mentioned, we hadn't shown them in 24 years, and we wanted to do something special, add some extras to the show. Many of you know that the Brooklyn Museum often will mix historical and contemporary art together. We like to create these interesting dialogues, often not obvious dialogues, so that people look twice at both the old and the new. But we're also pointing out legacies and lineages and that kind of thing. So we reached out to a Japanese artist whose work we knew well. We knew his work so well because we had done this massive show in 2008. But we didn't just reach out to Takashi Murakami because he's Japanese and famous. We reached out to him because he has, throughout his career, engaged with traditional Japanese art, mostly paintings. As Anne mentioned, Murakami spent years studying Nihonga, or traditional style Japanese painting, and over the years he's engaged with historical painting styles and subjects. So what I'm showing you here at the top is an absolutely massive, magnificent dragon painting. Is this the one that's in Kyoto? Yeah. Yeah. So great. And then look at that snarky title. It's really one of the best titles ever given to a painting. And so it's inspired by the painting below it, which is a massive set of panels by the 18th century eccentric artist Soga Shohaku. So, you know, in here, the reference is quite direct, and that's what you'll see up in the gallery. But even in his paintings that seem like they're about contemporary pop culture, there are often elements that refer to Japanese traditional aesthetics. Sometimes, you know, there's multiple panels, like a folding screen, and sometimes it's just a bunch of crotchety old guys who are based on Buddhist arhats. So. In recent years, and I promise we're getting to him, in recent years, Murakami has worked with forms and figures drawn from Japanese prints. So knowing all of this and wanting a thoughtful and informed artist's dialogue with the past, Takashi Murakami was the obvious man to call for this project. We kind of thought he would just send us maybe a pre-existing painting, but no, he replied that he wanted to make us something new, and something that directly addressed Hiroshige's prints. So in October, he made a super quick trip to the museum to see the space, and this, what I'm showing you, is the mock-up he made that day. So you can see that it was important to him how the paintings would fill the room. And at this point, he was talking about 6 to 8 paintings, but in the end, as we've already mentioned, he decided he wanted to take on all 118. So, my question is, how'd you do it? Why did you do it? And please let us know.
Okay, so this is, I want to try to precisely explain you. That's why go through Japanese is much better, I think. Here is a Yuko, Sakata, and I'll go through the translation. ちょうど、つい先週ぐらいに将軍っていうテレビシリーズが終わったんですけど、なんかそれ見てて大変タイミングよくこれも アメリカで、リリースされてよかったなと思ったんですね。最初このプロジェクトが来た時に忙しかったんで断るっていうのはもうほとんど断ろうかと思ってて、断りますよねみたいな感じで、来てたんですけどもし僕が断っちゃったら、他の日本のアーティストとかに行っちゃって、それでもしかしたらこうやっぱり時間が短かったんで、勘違いされるようなことになっちゃうと、良くないなと。なんで僕は僕なりに日本のその芸術のヒストリーをある程度理解してるつもりだったので、せっかくの機会で、ですけど時間がただないっていうだけだったら、ちょうど AI とかも出てきたし AI とあとそのアシスタントをたくさん雇って、でなんとか時間内に収めれればこのなんていうんですかね、勘違いが、僕の中ではほとんどないような形でアメリカの、観客の皆さんに日本の文化のそのヒストリーと、あとそのちょうどジャポニズムをなんか番号法とかルノワールとか印象派の人たちがやってた、そういったこう文化の行ったり来たりの時のそのコンフリクトであるとか、なじませていくような流れとかっていうのを作品でなんかその解説できるなと思ったんで、本当に時間がなかったんですけどお受けすることにして、で本当にたくさんの人を雇ったり、結局 AI はうまくいかなかったんですけど、たくさんのアシスタントを雇ってその方たちも、ほとんど寝ずに、2ヶ月ぐらい頑張ってもらってで完成したのが今回のプロジェクトでした。で結果的には、僕なりにはすごく誠意を持って勘違いの少ないものができたんで、その将軍もある部分的にはって思うようなところもありますけど、同じように、日本人から、アメリカのオーディエンスに向けて勘違いの少ない、解釈っていうのをやってみれたと思っております。
So just last week, the TV series Shogun, there was a finale, and as I was watching it, I thought, oh, the timing was really good that I can actually release my work here in the United States like this. Because at first when I was approached about this show, I really was busy and I didn't have time, and I was going to decline, and it was brought to me by my assistant as, you're gonna decline this, right? But I thought about that, but then if I didn't take it up, then another artist will be approached, Japanese artists would be approached, and they wouldn't have enough time either, and then there might be some misunderstanding as far as I can see, or my understanding of the Japanese culture. So I feel like I have my own understanding of Japanese art history, at least, that I wanted to express. So even though I didn't have time, I thought, well, there's AI now that I can use. Maybe if I employ a lot of more assistants, maybe, if I can fight the time, I may be able to convey something to the US audience that is not a misunderstanding as far as, from my perspective, the Japanese culture and art history. And also I was interested in the Japanism, the Van Gogh and Renoir and what they have done, and the sort of a cultural back and forth that happens when these interpretations happen over different cultures. So I wanted to sort of explain all these things through my artwork. And so even though I didn't have time, I adopted a lot of AI, which didn't work out, but I employed a lot of assistants, which worked out. And all of those assistants couldn't sleep for 2 months, including myself. But somehow I made it in time, and I feel like I was able to create works that can convey aspects of Japanese culture with the least misunderstanding. And of course, Shogun, there were some dubious elements in terms of interpretation of culture, but it was done well, and I thought maybe my work can also do as well as Shogun, conveying the Japanese culture to the US audience.
Here is a no sleeping team. Yes, looks like kind of the before the university examination, right? But okay, this is everything by hand. The corner of the light stuff having who is the copying stuff, and then I am watching to the which people is good skill, and then a very short time, but we choosing for the who is a director and who is assistant. And yes, looks like that stuff. And then looks same but pretty different. Here is by hand. Nothing have a computer, right? I have to buy the many computers. It's true. Super expensive. I spend a lot of money. Right? This is true stuff. I lose the money. And it's a tablet making for like that, one by one, by hand. Right? Ta-da! And you can find out my character. Looks like please looking for the worry. Looks like that. And the curve, like a kite or something. Here. Hawk. My dog is on the hawk, right? This is my studio, so exactly everything my painting came from the white, and everything by hand mixing for the color, right? And the big painting have to ready for the many, giant ball the paint. That is a very difficult process, by the way. And each place having a squeezy technique, like 2 or 3 paint mix. That's why, for example, like a brown color, we have to ready for the 4-5 different paint. Yeah, I love these images, like kind of the ghost foxes. Ooh, so creepy. But yes, but when I was start to this project before, I never know this print series is what is that. But when I started to this project, I learned a lot from the book and the website. So this print is, how can I say, なんていうの大地震からの復活を記念してとかっていうのなんていうの
To commemorate the recovery from a massive earthquake that happened in 1854.
This is a kind of the artist want to be prepared for the people healing, right? I was getting for the same feeling 2011, like a north side in Japan, so tsunami took the way to the 20,000 people is dead, one shot. So that moment is like me, like artist is the feeling like, oh, we have no power. We have no responsibility in the society. So maybe Hiroshige also thinking about that same feeling. And then that this fox is looks like a prey for the the people to soul, right? It's kind of the I don't know. And this is my painting for the Bango Hiroshige version. And this is my whiteboard. The team, working with any painting. Okay, please reading for the translation. Right? It's impossible to achieve. I don't know. It's nobody to believe this is a finish. So in my team, because the Kyoto my museum show, we made 130 paintings already, new paintings, and this deadline was January 28th, and I look at that next day starting. So it's nobody to take a less. But same time my team was very enjoyable to this kind of the very stressful something. So today, not here, but my team I brought from Japan, and I invited to the team people, and then these people will see the actually show. It's okay. Why I translation for the big paintings? Because this is my kind of the audience. My standing position is audience experience. When I was art student, like 27 years old, 8 years old. Like for example, the New York art scene has new paintings. The movement is burning, right? It's kind of the big boom. And my favorite is one of the Germany artists, Anselm Kiefer. So he was copying for the Frederick, it's Caspar Koenig, no. Who is that? Friedrich.
Caspar David Friedrich?
Friedrich, yes. So this painting he was copying for the big scale. So I was remember about this idea, and then a kind of the transfer to the big painting is something different feeling to the audience. That's why I made a big painting. Each time we have to washing to the the kind of the screen stuff. In the winter time, it's very hard job. So my studio is super cold, and this time was super painful. By the way, so please, understanding, include me, not just assistant, right? Include me, right? Okay. Okay, so this is a very good example, like that. So people can, imagination for looks like that process, but each paintings looks like that. We have to making a precisely final process, and we having like almost 10 people, like a very nice technique painter, and then these people to take care about the whole day, to touch up in detail. And by the way, please watching to the close, this guy, right? By the way, so I was a very good friendship with Virgil Abloh, and he came my studio, and he, making for the paintings. And then he took the photo in my studio people. Finally, he made some paint jeans or something. I don't know. Oh, sorry. Okay, this is a process. This is a Bango painting. And our team was, copying for that just line. And then step by step to do. And this is my original. これちょっとなんて言えばいいのかな。画狂老人万事隆ってなんて訳せばいいのかな。
漢字ってなんでしょうね。An old guy who's crazy for painting. And 万字は何ですか？
万事ってだからなんかやっぱりこうもうこれやみたいな。
This is it, Takashi. That's the signature that he created.
I made this Chinese calligraph, and then in the painting has my Chinese character, and this is my character in this painting, and here, right, like that, right. Please watching to this painting is very complex. But finally, I was on my team find out a very new way to produce the painting, like a new shape. Looks like that. We want to copying for the oil paint impression, like a touch up and a material, right? So many colors. And people looks like just shadow. It's not people, right? This is also the Bango painting. The conceptually very easy, but physically super difficult. Oh, and also, so at the moment our studio has a super big good luck because one of the very famous manga artists is finished the big title of the manga. This is a secret. So and this manga artist has several assistants, and then these assistants having no job, and then we took this 3 people, and then these people is amazing skill. More than our studio people. but because, the outline skill is completely far away from our studio skill, right? And then we did, by the way, this is, I made this, the brush stroke. This is very bad quality. This is my level. But translation to the painting is nobody understanding for that. This is not good technique. This is my technique. Right. Yeah, this is, I'm very satisfied and I'm very appreciate for the Brooklyn Museum gave me the, great opportunity to do looks like that, project. Why this is, I don't know. What is that? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, sorry. Hi. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Oh my gosh, so many questions. Okay. Okay. Let's start while we have these up. Can you tell us a little more about how you made these? I know that silk screening was a big part of it, but how you got those textures. Because really, when you go and see them in person, they have really amazing textures. They're not just literal recreations of the Hiroshige compositions. Can you talk a little about the technique?
そうですね。 この、築地で、シュッシュッシュって幾重もの色を置くのは、一番最初に思いついたのはウォーホールの実作品を見たとき、特に多分マオかなんかの作品を見たときに、なんか築地でシューってやってもなんかいろいろムラができるんだと思って、それで自分のスタジオでもやったらムラができて、それを重ねると面白い表現ができるなっていうのを発見して、そこからずっと使ってる技法です。
So the skiji work that I do to create a texture, so with the skiji, the silk screen, I layer and layer multiple layers. When I first saw the real work of Warhol, I saw that even if you use the skijis, there are some inconsistencies. And so I tried it at my studio and it created an interesting effect. So I tried that by layering those imperfections to create the texture.
Wow. So we talk about how Hiroshige's prints are really fancy because they have a lot of colors. But this is so many more colors than what Hiroshige was doing. So in a painting like one of these big ones, how many different colors do you have going on in there?
Each painting has maybe like 200.
Wow.
This is not wow, because because my painting is generally it's 1,000. So because this is came from the original print is already fixed the color. That's why we have not wondering we can find out the actually paint the color, right? So but generally I made I have to making for my own painting is anytime to looking for. That's why so many like a triple scale, fourth scale to the many painting.
Wow. Still wow.
Many color, right?
Okay, so let's see. Okay, so one of my biggest questions is, you totally could have done just like 6 or 8 paintings. Why did you decide you wanted to engage with the entire series?
Okay. Firstly, I was choosing for the 6, 8 paintings, the images. And then, okay, so we can do that. And then we discussion with my team. Yeah, this is comparable to making for the 1 month. And then we starting for another team is researching. So this team bring for the one book. So that book is one of the YouTuber in Japan. So she made this book has a super interesting story. So and then I find out this series was after the big earthquake. So so maybe like so you guys having a New Yorker having several times to the big earthquake here, right? So that was scary, right? This is in Tokyo is almost every day. You can imagine, almost, right? And that means like recently pretty popular. So and the people very afraid about will coming to the huge earthquake again, right? Because each 120 years to coming. This is now is a season to coming to the big earthquake. So every day I'm very afraid, and also. So if I will having we will getting for the big earthquake, how we can survive? So in technically and psychologically. So and then Hiroshige did the psychological healing to the people. So maybe in Tokyo people will die, so many people. Include like without Japanese people. So that means at the moment maybe we have to do something in kind of telling for in the future history. And then so Hiroshige did a super nice project, and that's why he want to say the Edo is Tokyo, the beautiful landscape. Because the reality is not. That's why he created for the beautiful landscape. And then people watching, maybe this is a past. and then remember, okay, so we can come back, right? So that story was beautiful, and then I thought I have to do everything. And then, talking with my team is what? So, but I speaking for the beautiful story, but nobody moved. It's, okay. So, and the calculation for the scheduling. So, but, we did. So maybe like our team is honestly moved with my story.
Great. So when you and I first talked about this project, you were really keen to engage with the Impressionists and especially Van Gogh because Van Gogh had made the copies. Can you talk about sort of what you learned when you were thinking about Van Gogh and were remaking his copies? Do you feel like you got to know Van Gogh or, put yourself in his shoes? Or what did you get out of doing Van Gogh as well as Hiroshige?
ちょうどこのお話いただいた頃は去年の夏だったっけこれ10月に来たけどその前だった夏ぐらい直前だったっけ、ちょうど去年はAI 旋風が吹き荒れてて日本でもすごい論争になってて AI を使ったイラストとか絵はもうオリジナリティがないとか言ってたんだけどでも僕は本当に僕というかみんなびっくりしたと思うんですよね。全然絵が描けない人でも絵が描けちゃうからプロンプトでそれと似たような感覚だったのかなと思ったんです。やっぱり自分の概念に全くないものが突然来て自分の今まで積み上げてきた価値観っていうのが全部なくなっちゃった瞬間をこのゴッホの絵に見えたんですね。だからなんかこう自分のキャリアが全く全部ゼロに戻っちゃったようなショックっていうのが感じられてそれを追体験していくっていうのに正直自分のこのゴッホのやつを作る時は AI もちょっと使って僕らうまくプロンプト使えなくて結局失敗しちゃったんだけどAI も使いましたしその自分の概念にないものが突然出てきた時のショックが克明に現れていて特に雨が降るシーンとか多分本当にショックだったんだろうなと思うし梅の絵も突然ただ茶色い物体が手前にあってどうして綺麗に見えるのかなっていうのも多分ショックだったと思うんですね。だからゴッホは多分耐えられずに脇に赤い色を置いちゃったり余計なことしてるんですね。なんかその耐えられなかったと思うんです。四角い画面をその広重のようにぶっきらぼうにバーンとこう手前に気を置くとか雨がザーザー黒い線で降ってるとかでもその価値観の崩壊っていうのがすごく克明に見えてそれがトレースしてる時にとても自分の中にもこうどんどん入ってきて面白かった経験でした。
So just around the time that you brought the project to me, I think around September last year, the AI was much talked about everywhere, and especially also in Japan, people were saying that pictures created by AI has no originality. All these things are being discussed, but I think that everyone was just really taken aback, surprised, and. The fact that people who cannot really draw at all can make amazing pictures just by using prompt. So I thought maybe this kind of shock was something similar to the Impressionists, including Van Gogh, might have felt seeing the Japanese woodblock prints. It's as if that something that was not in their concept or idea had suddenly invaded in their minds, and then all the stuff of the art, the concept and construct and composition, those things that they have created and built up so far in their career were just broken away. And so Van Gogh may have felt really shocked that all the things that he's done in a career might have been negated. And I wanted to sort of follow maybe that kind of experience. And for example, I used, in trying to do recreate the Van Gogh painting, I used AI. Like I told you, it didn't go well because we couldn't use the prompt very well. But it was very similar in a way that something that emerged that was never in your own idea or concept, and that was a huge shock. And I would imagine that the Impressionists might have seen the composition of the rain just in the foreground, all over the square or rectangular pictorial surface, or the crazy shape of the plum branches in the foreground. Abruptly, those composition may have given them the same kind of shock. I feel like Van Gogh could not bear that composition, and that's why he couldn't help putting the red frame around it. So I think that was sort of like the values, their value system had broken down, and so that kind of feeling really resonated with me and came into me when I traced their work. So I had a lot of fun doing that.
Great. Sorry, I should have had that slide up the whole time, shouldn't I have? Okay, so before we called you up and asked if you were interested in engaging with this, had you really thought about Hiroshige much at all? And if so, what did you thought? And I know you have done some things relating to other Japanese prints, but can you just talk a little bit about what you thought of Hiroshige, and maybe if things have changed since engaging with his work more closely?
広重はやっぱりこう風景とかがとっても綺麗で、端正で大衆受けする絵なので、僕が最も不得意とするジャンルだと思ってました。でなのでもちろんコピーなんかしようなんて思ったこともないですし、興味を持ったこともあんまりありませんでしたけど、でもこれをさっきもお話ししたように地震があった後にそういった大衆に向かってのメッセージを作るっていうのがとてもすごいコンセプチュアルだと思いましたし、でよくよく今回勉強すると大層な苦労人で随分年を取ってからやっと花開いた作家さんで、そういうところも自分のなんか結構苦労してやっとこう46、7歳からやっと食べれるようになってきたんで、そういうのに似てるなと思って非常にシンパシーを感じるように今はなってます。はい。
So Hiroshige is known for his beautiful landscape, and it's very clean and pristine, and it has a huge mass appeal. So I feel like that was entirely not my genre. It was not something that I was good at. So I was not very interested in Hiroshige, and I never even thought to copy his work. And so I hadn't really thought about him. But then as I did the research and found out about the context where he was creating the series after the huge, massive earthquake, and he was trying to send some message to the mass audience, and that really appealed to me. And also, as I continued the research, I understood his life, that he had a lot of, he struggled a lot and didn't become an artist until later in his life and become popular, as an older person at that time. And I struggled the same way, and I didn't become fully, feel successful until when I was 46 or 47. So I do feel much more sympathy towards him now.
Interesting, yeah. So your own training is in Nihonga, in traditional Japanese painting. Can you talk in a sort of broad way, both just about your career in general, but then also maybe a little bit about this project, how that Nihonga training affects your work?
僕が日本画の学校に行ってた頃は、日本はバブル経済真っ只中で、 今考えるとやっぱりそのバブル経済とは何かっていうと、日本がその戦争に負けて初めてこうなんていうんですかね、浮かれちゃったけど世界一っぽいムードになった瞬間だったと思うんですね。でもその時にやっぱりずっと日本人が持ち続けていた西洋コンプレックスっていうのがあって、故にそれの裏返しとして日本画っていうのがとっても高額で取引されていた。つまり日本人が日本人であるアイデンティティをその日本画っていうジャンルの絵を買うことで担保してた時期が長くあったんですね。で僕は日本画をそういう日本画をやりたくて日本画っていう顔を選んだわけじゃなくて、宮崎駿さんのアシスタントの背景描きになりたくて、でちょうど「赤毛のアン」っていうテレビシリーズやってて、リンゴの木をこうすごく上手に描く背景の方がいたんで、アニメーターにはなれないけど背景描きぐらいだったらなんかできるかなと思って、それを勉強しに日本画に行ったんですね。そうしたところ、うちはそもそもすごく貧しい家庭だったんだけど、日本画がめちゃくちゃお金稼げることを知ってと思って、それでその日本画のなんていうんですか、専攻にちょっと自分乗っかってみようかなって、横島な気持ちがちょこっとだけあったんですね。それで勉強してたんですけど、当たり前ですけど全然面白くもなく、でもいつの間にやら9年間学校に在籍するようになってしまって、東京の都心の中に大きなスタジオがすごく安い授業料で借りられるんで、ついに博士課程っていうところまで行っちゃったんですね。そしたらいろいろこう仕事が来る時も「なんで日本語なんですか?」とかいろいろ聞かれたりして、それなりに理由をつけなきゃいけなくなっちゃったんで、日本画の勉強、日本画っていうか日本の芸術のヒストリーの勉強をし始めて、それで自分が現代美術に興味を持ち始めてデビューする時になった時に、その自分の特殊な経験が生かすことができるということを知って、それでもう一回日本の歴史を、日本の芸術の歴史を学ぶようにして、見たんですけど、最初はアニメとか漫画とかそういうものが好きだったんですが、仕事として自分の飯を食う種として日本のそういったアートの歴史を学んで、その要するに素地があったので、現在に至るって感じですね。ちなみに僕を最も有名にしたルイ・ヴィトンのコラボレーションも、ルイ・ヴィトンのモノグラムは日本のやっぱり家紋から来てるので、そういう文脈もすぐさま理解できましたんで、ああいったこういろいろこれはないんじゃないかなっていうようなデザインにまで発展することができたと思っています。
Let me see if I can catch that.
Oh my God, it's so heroic, this translation job.
So, not yet. So when I started studying the Japanese Nihonga at school, it was right in the middle of the bubble economy. And when you think about what the bubble economy of Japan was that sort of the identity burst of identity, where after Japan was defeated in the World War II, it has sort of become number one in something, and so there was like a joyful pride, but that was also backed by the complex feeling of inferiority complex towards the West. So at that time, Nihonga was traded at very, very high price. They sold at very expensive price, and that was because Japanese wanted to sort of boost their identity through this, saying traditional artwork. So I didn't want to study Nihonga at all when I first started in art. I actually was a big fan of Hayao Miyazaki and anime, and I really wanted to draw, but I wasn't really good. And at that time, there was a TV series, the Anne of Green Gables, done by Hayao Miyazaki, and I knew there was a background artist who drew beautiful apple trees. And I thought maybe, that's something I could do, and that's something I could study in school. But once I started looking into art school, I realized that the Japanese, the Nihonga, was being traded for a really expensive amount, and I thought, And I come from a very poor family, so I thought maybe this is something I could get into. And I started studying Nihonga. So I studied Nihonga, but I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't really fun. But because being an art university student in Nihonga, I was able to rent a huge art studio in the middle of Tokyo. So that was a big perk. So I ended up studying for 9 years and ended up obtaining doctoral degree. And after having pursued all the way, I was being asked, why did you do this? Why are you studying Nihonga? So I had to come up with a reason. And so I started studying more closely Japanese art history and the technique, and it actually came in handy when I was trying to make my debut, and I realized that that could be my advantage using that background. So I started to study the history further. So actually, my initial interest was in anime and manga, but for profession, I studied Japanese art and art history, and that became very useful. And for instance, when I was doing the Louis Vuitton collaboration, the monogram that I made into bright colors, the Louis Vuitton monogram was drawn from Japanese family crests. And so having studied all the histories, it was very easy to make sense for me, and that's why I could take those design into the degree that people would not have imagined, probably.
Cool. Thanks. So we've talked a little bit about Hiroshige having a legacy in European modernism, but can you talk about, do you think Hiroshige has a legacy on Japanese visual arts of the 20th and 21st century? Do you see his influence showing up in the work of any sort of living artists that you can think of?
やっぱり日本の芸術にその後影響をすごく強く与えたのはやっぱ北斎だと思いますね。北斎や歌丸だと思いますけど、もちろん広重もその一人であることは変わりないんですが、どちらかというと大衆系の芸術家で、芸術家がその広重にもう立ち向かっていや広重ってこうだよねっていうような語るケースっていうのはとても少なかったと思います。ただ僕が今回こうやって学んだら広重がとっても深いそのコンセプトを持って作画してたことが分かったし、今もちょうどなんかちょっとしたブームになってるんですね、日本で。美術館で 2,3 箇所必ずずっと広重の展覧会やってたりするし、そのさっき言ったYouTuber の本とかを読むともうめちゃくちゃ広重のことを深く掘ってて、その方が今から多分広重ブーム再ブームが多分来るような気がしました。だから僕的にはとってもいいタイミングでこれ関わらせてもらって、そういう広重のもう一回再解釈にお手伝いできればいいなと思ったりしているので、今から大きいブームが来るんじゃないかなと思ってます。
So I think that those ukiyo-e artists who left the most influence to a Japanese artist and art right now would be Hokusai and maybe Utamaro. And of course, Hiroshige is one of them, but like I said, he really appealed to the mass audience. So probably it's not the kind of artist that the contemporary artists would be facing them to do something or reinterpret them as their endeavor. But like I said, I studied Hiroshige really deeply this time, and I understood that he had profound concept behind his work. And I think in Japan, there's also a new boom coming for Hiroshige because there are Hiroshige shows here and there all the time at art museums. And then, like I said, there's this YouTuber who's written a book really deeply digging into the concepts and background of Hiroshige's work. So I think it's coming. It's becoming popular again. His boom is coming, so it was a great timing that I got to involve with his work, and I hope that I can also offer up a reinterpretation of his work as well. So it's coming now.
Great, thanks. I'm sure your work is going to do loads to get people excited about Hiroshige and looking more closely. So my last question for you before we open it up to the audience is, of all of the prints that you worked with in the series, do you have a favorite and why?
そうですね。結構広重の作品は特別人物 あんまいないんですね。でそれはそういった歴史を解説する本を読むと広重はあんまり人物へ得意意識がなくて、その人物を描くことが逃げてたっていう話があるんですけど、23枚召喚というかなんかその娼婦のお座敷がエンプティで昼間ことが終わった後の部屋が描かれてる絵があるんですけど、あれは大変なんか大人のムードで趣深くてなんていうんですかね、江戸の人たちの粋な感じ、つまりその何にもないところにストーリーをこう感じようとする、その今の我々日本人が持ってないようなそのないものを思い浮かべることによって何かストーリーをもっと豊かに感じるっていうのが表現されていて、ちょっとどの作品っていうのがちょっと今皆さんにお伝えできないのがもどかしいんですけれども、猫が手前の方にぴょこっていてエンプティの部屋がある絵と、あとなんかすごいこう海のランドスケープが見えてやっぱりエンプティの部屋がある絵があるんですけど、それなどは描いててとっても描きづらいんですね。やっぱ中心がないんで。でもその中心がないっていうことが、いい。それはでも実は将軍を見ててすごい思ったんですね。将軍見ててやっぱりそのラストシーンで通詞がいなくなってエンプティになって通詞のいない中でこう会話が行われる主人公とその妻に、任命された人が話すところがあったんですけど、それがやっぱりこうエンプティネスっていうのが日本の文化の一つの形なんだっていうのをその将軍とかが、アメリカ人の監督ティームが作っていて、なるほどそういうことだったのかっていうのを改めてこうリマインドして大変趣深かったんで、その辺が今はとっても一番こう興味の対象だったりします。
So there aren't many people, human figures in Hiroshige's work, and different books on Hiroshige claim that he wasn't good at drawing figures, and so he avoided them as much as possible. But in this series, there are 2 or 3 prints with sort of an empty room of the courtesan's house square. Yeah, I'm sorry that I cannot remember, neither of us can remember the actual titles, but it seems like a very adult mood. Something has already happened in the room and it's empty, and it's a very Edo, fashionable kind of atmosphere. So it's sort of like seeking a story where there is void, when there is nothing there, so you imagine, and the imagined story is richer for that. So again, we can't say which work it was, but the one with the cat in the window and the empty room in the foreground. There's another one with the seascape with pretty much empty room closer to the audience. Those were very difficult to paint and as a composition because there's no central focus. But actually, I came to know this watching Shogun again, because there's a scene where the main character has already gone, and there is a empty room, and then the main character and the wife are talking. So and it evoked a lot of stories because of the lack. So I thought that the American director has created and sort of reminded me of this aesthetic. So this is something that I really enjoy.
Cool, thank you. All right, I think we are ready for some audience questions. Isn't that true? And I think we're going to pull up the lights so we can see you and start cooking up some good questions. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, there you are. Hello. Oh, wow. And we have a hand up in the middle.
Thank you. If you have questions, please walk to the aisle microphone so that we can capture them for our visitors who are listening in on live stream.
Oh, no. Microphone's coming to you, I think. No? Okay.
No, you'll need to come to the microphone.
Sorry, false promise.
You're all good. And we have time for 4 questions. We want to make sure that everyone has time to see the exhibition.
Hi, Takashi. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I want to ask, as a lover of hip hop, I remember Kanye West's graduation album 2007. You did the artwork for him. And then also, Drake mentioned you in his song. So I want to know, how does your art relate to hip hop? Because that is an art genre. And how do you feel like you relate to hip hop with your style and your feelings? And what do you feel about hip hop?
Well, this is a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I want to understanding myself also. So why Kanye interested in me? So this is a mysterious thing. But after that, I heard from the Virgil Abloh. So the timing was my collaboration with Louis Vuitton. And Kanye and his team, mostly the Don C, so went to the Louis Vuitton store, and then they were shocked about, oh, this is our fashion. So and then he very intense to obsessive for me. So that was a starting point, the Virgil said. So that is very good luck. So because I never getting for the interested in the hip hop before. So and then Kanye and his mom came to my old studio. So that is a first moment. But so after the collaboration with Kanye, I was step by step to very interested to the hip hop music culture. And now is recently, maybe next month or end of this month, I sing a song with the hip hop. So please watch it out. Yo. Yeah, this is true stuff. Like you know. So finally, I'm 62 years old, hip hop Japanese, strange guy. Looks like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi. I recently, last month, went to your exhibition in Kyoto.
Oh, thank you.
And it was great to see all of the works that you and your team did, and I saw that it wasn't complete. And something that you've talked about during this and previously is that you've been looking to integrate AI into your paintings and into your work. And I think as AI continues to evolve for art, it will get to a point where you could train it on Hiroshige's work or even something that you and your team has created in the past, and someone could instantly create a replica of a Murakami work or a Hiroshige work. And so I just want to ask, do you feel like a world or a medium where someone without any of the creative process of creating an entire work of Hiroshige or your own, is that a world that you're comfortable with?
音楽シーンがすごく今の問題、特に AI の問題っていうのはもう経験してきて答えが出てると思うんですね。まず音楽シーンの1回目はやっぱり DJ の登場によってスクラッチやサンプリングっていうのが普通になっちゃって、じゃあそれの音楽の著作権は誰のもんだっていう問題があり、それがまあ長い時間を経ていろいろな係争があって解決したっていうのが一つ。もう一つは、例えばナップスターみたいな、そうやって、ただでストリーミングで音楽を配信して、レコードや CD の売り上げによってミュージシャンがお金を稼げないっていうようなシチュエーションができてしまった。でもそれも、結局音楽を消費する、お金にするっていうマネタイズの文脈がもう完全に曲を売るっていうところからミュージシャンのブランドそのものを売るっていうふうに変わったように、多分最初は混乱すると思うんですけど、最終的にはオリジナルを作った人間にいろんなものがちゃんと戻ってくるような感じになると思うんで、最初はやっぱりそういった状況をハックするような人たちがたくさん出てきて、そういう人たちが一時的な恩恵を得る瞬間があると思いますが、しかしそれはやっぱり10年ぐらいのスパンで落ち着いてくるんじゃないかなと思うんで、 僕的にはまあもしねその僕のそっくりのやつが出てきたらとか思ってもしかしたら弁護士にいろいろ聞くかもしれませんけど、でもそのうち落ち着くんじゃないかなとも思っております。
So I think that this has already an issue that's already been fully experienced by the music scene and music industry, not just the AI, but historically. For example, when the DJs came out, scratching and sampling, those things became the common practice. And then there was all discussion of whose copyright that is and whose creation these music pieces were. There was a long debate and fights and discussions, and then we have come to some kind of resolution. And then there are things like Napster that came out, and then streaming all the music for free, and the musicians who made the music couldn't make any money. But again, this has been going on for a long time, and this has shifted and kind of resolved by monetization, shifting from just selling the music that one makes, but turning into the branding of the whole musician as a person and their world and brand. So I think at first there's always this kind of confusion and chaos, but eventually things will come around, and the people who genuinely create from scratch will start to benefit again, I think. So at first there are people who take advantage of these new chaos and opportunities, and they may be the ones to sort of take away some of the benefits. But then about maybe within a 10-year span, things will settle, and I think the people who create from scratch will be back in possession of their work. So if works that are completely resembling my work, I might twist my head and maybe I will talk to my lawyer. But I think eventually things will calm down in time.
Thank you. You're an inspiration.
So, do we have...
We have a question in the front.
Hi. こんばんは、Murakami-san. はじめまして、どうぞよろしく. I wanted to ask you, looking at Japanese art in different styles, it strikes me that there's sort of a shared visual language. I mean, the way you were talking about manga backgrounds kind of fitting with ukiyo-e, I think fits very well. Some of the characters that like Shohaku does, I've seen obviously referenced in your work and then in manga by like Satoshi Kon and Hayao Miyazaki. So what I'm wondering is, why do you think that shared visual language is so important and has persisted so long through Japanese art? Why was it important for you to operate within some of that in your own work? I'm thinking of like everything from Miss Kotu to your Daruma prints. And where do you plan to take it next? Thank you.
すごく彼の質問は僕もよく考えることですけど、やっぱり一番いい例はポップアートだと思うんですね。特にロイ・リヒテンシュタインの作品とかっていうのは新聞に載ってる漫画みたいなものをドット絵でペインティングにして、それはそれでも漫画って全然違う世界をこう切り取ってるんですけれども、僕はやっぱり今はそのアートの世界でデビューしたので、リヒテンシュタイン側に立って表現してきてたと思います。しかしそれだとポップアートと何も変わらないので、今はだんだん逆に漫画やアニメの方に、もう一回シフトし直すっていう、行為を行っておって、果たして自分の寿命が持つかどうか分かんないんですけど、一回その、漫画やそういったサブカルチャーをアメリカ式の現代美術に置き換えたそのコンセプトをもう一回今度日本の漫画カルチャーに移し替えるっていうのを、今からトライしようとしてますんで、それがやっぱりなぜなのかっていうと、一番最初にはやっぱり漫画家としての才能があまりにもなかったからだったと思います。やっぱり漫画の世界っていうのは日本で一番ビジュアルアーティストとしてコンペティションのやっぱりその難易度の高い世界なんで、 その次が、やっぱりアニメーションやゲームクリエイターだと思うんですけど、そのどれにも私はやっぱりコンペティションできるスキルがなかったので、仕方なく現代美術の世界に来てしまった。でも今はやっぱりこういろんなものを咀嚼して、やっぱり伊達に長く生きてるんで、そういったところを結構その漫画の世界とかにももう一回、トランスレーションし直せるんじゃないかなとも思ってますんで、コンペティブな世界じゃない漫画の世界の方にちょっとトライしてみようかなと思ってたりします。
Thank you.
So your question, I often ask myself, I think about that. The good example might be the pop art. For example, Roy Lichtenstein's artwork that will take the newspaper comic and saying this is comic and this is art, this is fine art, right? So contrasting those is the concept itself for that art. And I'm in the art world, so I kind of stood on the side of Liechtenstein, working with manga as anime as a motif or concept, but creating a work of fine art. That's what I had been doing in my career, but now I feel like I'm now shifting towards being on the manga and anime and subculture side, because I translated the Japanese subculture like manga and anime to the Western into the Western art historical context. And then now I'm going to translate that back into the manga concept. Because at first I really wanted to pursue manga and anime, but I really didn't have any skill for that, because in Japanese visual art world, the most competitive and requiring the highest skill is the manga, and then maybe after that would be anime and video games. And I had no skill to pursue any of that, but I have been pursuing fine art for long enough now that I feel like I can translate these now back into the manga and subculture, maybe in a non-competitive way.
Okay, we have one more question on this side.
Hi, Takashi. I love your hat. So not only being such an icon in the art world as well as pop culture, you've worked with other household names such as Kanye West and Louis Vuitton. Are there any other artists, whether that be in art, music, or fashion, that you'd like to collaborate with that you have not already?
Oh, this is super nice question. Because the same question I got, these 2 years, I said same answer, right? だけど忘れちゃった、アーティストの名前。なんだっけな。女の人でなんだっけ。すげえヒットしてる人。さっき聞いてたんだけどな。ちょっと待って。なんだっけな。なんだっけ。ちょっと待って。忘れちゃった俺。すごい有名。カニエ・ウエストがバッシングした人。テイラー・スウィフト。ね、I'd been so many times, over like 20 times said Taylor Swift, but never happening to the response. But this is my answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you so much, Takashi-san.
Thank you.
And thank you, Yuko, for your heroic translation. Thank you for bringing...
Thank you so much for the translation.
Thank you to Takashi for bringing beauty to the Brooklyn Museum. Thank you to our interpreters for was probably pretty challenging evening, and thank you all for coming. The galleries are open upstairs, and we would love to show off our treasures to you. So please head up there after this if you have time. Thanks.
ありがとうございました。
Echoing, thank you so much, Takashi Murakami and Joan, for the incredible conversation. Thank you to our director, Ann Pasternak, for grounding us this evening. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes who made this possible, our interpreters Yuko, Gloria, and Jess. Thank you to Keith, Chetty, June, Lauren, Danielle, Amber, Colin, so many people beyond naming. Your ticket tonight includes after hours exclusive entry to Hiroshige, 100 Famous Views of Edo. We encourage you to go upstairs to check out the show. You'll have private access tonight, and we hope to see you again soon. Take care, and thank you for joining us. Bye.